3, 2, 1, go!
Hey everyone,
Hello.
I'm Ben, and joining with me is Allison and Ryan, and a special guest today, Parker. How is everyone doing today?
Doing
I
good.
am
Thanks for having me.
Yep.
I am great. How are you, Ryan?
I am good. Much better location I'm at than last week. where
Last week.
You saw me in a coffee shop trying to keep my voice at a minimum, but try to reduce as much Taylor Swift as you were hearing from the background. But I'm good.
I didn't mind it because Red Taylor's version has been playing on repeat on my Spotify for almost every single car ride lately. So I'm good with it. I was fine with it. So I don't know.
Oh, I
anyone
know,
else,
but I know that, but it's mainly with YouTube in the past. They will. It's like if they hear for more than 30
We'll
or
get-
20 seconds of a song, they'll like immediately go copyright strike. So I'm going like last day of one is piss off everybody, all the other schmoes bros of the north, and just go, oh, I got you guys a copyright strike! Yay! You won't get your episode on the server for another 6 weeks, but copyright strike.
that was a good time. Well, welcome, Parker. We're so happy to have you.
Yeah, happy to be here. I've been looking forward to this one.
Oh, yay. That's good to hear. This has all been really fun for me. I feel like I say that with every single episode we do, with every single stream, because it means I get to go back and rewatch everything. Because as everyone knows, I'm a baby of digital, and really literally this past year, digital kind of thing. So it's been really fun kind of going back and watching at least the matches. I haven't really gotten too much into the storylines, but and kind of going with that, leading kind of into the first question is, how'd you get here?
Oh man, it's a big question. I started watching the show as a fan in like 2016, probably, like when they moved over to Collider. I was working at a movie theater at the time, and my boss at that time, an assistant manager, who eventually became my brother-in-law, he introduced me to the show. He was a big movie talk guy and Jedi Council and all that good stuff. So he showed me a couple episodes, and I just started watching and got hooked. And the rest is history. I started getting involved in other online leagues that were sprouting up, mid 2017-ish. And then a couple years later, Christian messaged me and asked me if I wanted to play. I said yes, and that was 2019-ish, and then it didn't end up happening until last year's season. But yeah, that's an abridged version of what happened.
That's the long story. The long story short. That's awesome.
Right, exactly.
And then in your debut match, you go up. You go up against Andreas Cabrera in win by KO, like straight up winning by a KO. Like that's insanity.
Yeah, it was pretty nerve-wracking on the day. Like I felt good and confident, but there was also there was a lot of hype, and that was I don't know, between SCN and Facebook comments and all that kind of stuff. Like there was just the expectations I don't think could have been higher, and I think if I didn't play perfect and didn't win by knockout, it would have been a disappointment. And I put some pressure on myself, but there was just a lot of pressure all around. I mean, the high draft pick and everything that was going on with Kaiser and Smets at the time, like there was just a lot going into that match. And then, a few months later, we switched to digital and things, shifted. But yeah, that first match, I still look back on it. It's still might be one of my favorite matches I've ever played, and just because of how fun it was to be in studio. That studio was so much fun.
Yeah. You are right there. There was definitely pressure there. I mean, of course, I remember during 2019 when SEM was still up, still starting, and Christian starts teasing all this stuff about factions, and of course with potential rookies coming in, and of course you being one of the first that he name drops down, and then of course he talked about your history, of course, amongst just like Chance and like Paul playing in the families, even like Kevin Smets. Yeah, there was definitely pressure, and you were right. That high pick from Kaiser was like one of the first, at least one of the biggest, I'd say biggest strategies and one of the biggest risks that Kaiser had. And honestly, to me, when watching that match, though, the facade that you put up there, at least the bravado that you brought out there, like really playing as if you have no care in the world, you're just here to play. And seeing, you went perfect. You get spinner's choice in your round going from to Earth.
I was lucky. Yeah.
Of course, many people from the fan leagues like myself who watch your matches know that it felt like it was a nail in the coffin for Andres. No offense to him, man.
No, not at all. And he just came in. I had been studying, because of my participation in other leagues. Like I had basically been prepping for that match for 2 years. And the ace had been maybe for a couple weeks. So, he played well, and we saw, he went on to have an amazing season. And he had a great season after that first match. But that first IG match, I think he just didn't quite know what he was getting himself into.
Awesome. Yeah. And I think probably my favorite part about you and what you bring to it is your beautiful pressed 3-piece suit. It's always,
I love it too.
Always such a good look.
I don't even have it right now. I dropped it off to get dry cleaned before Spectacular.
Well, sure, of course.
President.
We'll allow it.
Precedent about this.
We'll allow it. I mean, it's okay. It's fine. Sean Wingblade in the chat. What up, fam? Is that the future champ? I love Wingblade.
Thanks,
He's a
Sean.
nice guy. He's great. So coming in doing Inner Geekdom, and I know sitting in, because we kind of briefly got to meet during a Bateman study session, and I remember you kind of making the joke to Kelly that you're like, I know other movies, but what does studying look like for you, if you don't mind giving away a few of your own bits to be so specific?
Yeah, it depends. Like with IG, first and foremost, you have to watch the movies. You have to watch all the movies. And that's just because you have a list. You can't get by, especially with the questions starting to get harder, with a lot more quotes coming at you and things like that. You can't get by not having seen movies from a whole category or something like that. So, and it really did change a lot this year, just because prior to that, I had, their core 8 categories plus some miscellaneous stuff, but those core 8, again, I had been studying for years. So this year changed quite a bit, but you watch the movies, you take down notes, you quiz each other. That has been a big help, especially this year, having Mara to be able to quiz and bounce off of, just as share study tactics and things like that with her. She's been a really, really, really great friend and teammate in that regard. And Kevin was last year too. Smets was a great help. Him and I were always prepping at different times. By the time I had lost and gotten out of the tournament, I don't even think he'd played Chandra yet. So we were never really lined up. This year, Mara and I, when we were shooting matches, was lining up a lot better. But the first thing you always take down is the cast members and release year and all that kind of stuff, and you just review it in whatever way works best for you. Me, I like a lot of repetition. I like a lot of memory aids, weird, just random ways to remember certain facts, things like that. But yeah, I mean, there's 290 some movies in IG this year, which is a lot. And I mean, a good number of them haven't been asked about it all yet, or have only been asked about once or stuff like that. But you don't want to lose on a 5-pointer from a movie that you don't think they're going to ask about, that they suddenly pull out all the stops and come with it. So yeah, you just got to try to cover everything. And I like how you said, I do know other movies. There was talks about doing teams this year, especially with being able to put IG slices on the singles and teams wheels. If things had gone a little bit differently with, number of teams in tournaments and records and things like that, that would have been possible. But Inner Geekdom is definitely where my heart is at. That's just the movies I care about the most, the franchises that I've loved for the longest, things like that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ben.
Go for Ben. It's all yours. The floor is yours.
I'm just curious, do you have a favorite Inner Geekdom movie that somebody would give you a category about?
Yeah. The Harry Potter franchise is something that it's no secret that I've loved for a really long time. I definitely grew up on those movies. It's the first movies that I ever like religiously rewatched, and even before I even knew that the Schmoedown existed, when 15 years ago, I was rewatching those movies and trying to memorize every line from them. So that series, and the same with the Middle Earth movies too. Both The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. Those two franchises, I think, are ones that I've loved the longest and been obsessed with the most in my life.
I didn't realize how many different Planet of the Apes movies there were until I started watching the Inner Kingdom.
Yeah.
So like in the Planet of the Apes Part 7, I'm like, why are there that many? I don't understand how many of these are there.
They were cheap to make. That's why. In the 70s, those sequels were very inexpensive because you didn't have to get famous actors. You didn't have to have elaborate sets. You just crank out a script. It's a 80-minute movie. They were cheap to make.
So wild. It's insane.
Yeah. I mean, even I will say the Planet of the Apes, along with like at least some of the new categories we've seen pop in our geekdom, like Pirates of the Caribbean, like Swashbuckling, which I do agree that is a very smart way of combining those categories. That way, not everything needs to be like all thrown in the mixed bag. Because like you said before, there was the core 8, then you had outside mixed bags, scores and soundtracks and movie release dates,
heroes and villains, stuff like that. But you never really knew who
said it. 7 different types of categories for a comic book movie. You got comic book movies, graphic novels, MCU, DC, and then DCEU. I'm like, this is insane. I don't understand how this all breaks down.
Yeah, it was hard to keep it straight, especially last year. Like, we never really, I mean, you knew just because you knew what the MCU movies were and you knew what the DCE, like stuff like that, but you never really knew, like, in mixed bag, what they could ask about before this year. This is the first year we got, like, the condensed list. And yeah, you never knew, like, if you got mixed bag, you never knew if you were going to get some random small graphic novel movie you've never heard of, or if it was going to be like something that's pretty popular, like The Mask or The Crow or something like that. It was a lot harder to predict with those categories. Now I think you'll find people much more confident in those kind of miscellaneous extra categories, just because it's much more concise what you're going to get from them. Even something like fantasy sci-fi, which is one of the bigger general categories, you know what you're in for if you land on it.
That's awesome. So going back into like your record and everything, it blows my mind for how compared to like some of the longer seasons that other people have had, you're 7-2 with your only losses to Chance, which I mean, Chance is also a beast, and then losing to Chandru. But then this whole tournament, I didn't realize until I was rewatching everything, you either won by TKO or KO. Like
the whole tournament, not just me. Every single tournament match was either a TKO or a knockout in this year's Inner Geekdom tournament, which is insane.
It's wild. It's so that's so cool. I was like, these types of stats just blow my mind. And like, how did it feel finally being in front of like a live audience for that championship match?
It was incredible. That I think is my favorite match I've ever played in, just because of the atmosphere. Getting to be with Kaiser's just such an electric guy in person, and knows exactly what to say to keep me focused. Like, he may seem like a buffoon, but when you're huddling up, he takes it very, very seriously, and he is a very good inspiration and mood manager to keep your head in the game, things like that. And yeah, having that live audience, like I was lucky enough to be on the right hand side, so the audience was right over here, so I would be able to, like, if I had already answered my question, I could just like banter with the audience right next to me while they were counting down, or hearing the claps and the cheers, the entrance, hearing the music, like just having everything in person, just I think really showed that's what the league is meant to be. And digital is what it is. I think I'm glad it happened so that the show was able to continue, but I feed off the energy of others, so I'm really, really excited to be there live for Spectacular. I was very, very glad to do the finals match live instead of digital. I think the crowd's electricity is really what makes the show what it is.
Oh, for sure. And the fact that you finally been able to get some practice in with the buzzer round, because I feel like that's been the real kind of Achilles heel, especially for a lot of the rookies that have been coming in, that only in digital it's more all they get is the speed round when they're in those 5-round matches, which I think is obviously a completely different animal from the buzzer round.
100%. Yeah. And I really hate the fast money round. I really, really dislike it just because, especially in categories like or divisions like Inter-Yikdom and Star Wars, if you're playing in a 5-round match, in the fast money round, you should probably be getting 8 or 9 questions right, if not 10 for 10 every single time. And that's on both players. And I think that's just the expectation when you're getting 10 questions in quick succession. You know, sometimes they'll throw some harder ones in there, but I think in general, that round is just super uneventful for matches. Like you never see big swings in an Inter-Yikdom or Star Wars in the fast money round. It's just not fun to watch because we get it. They're really good. They're just going to get them all right. So I just don't think it's a fun round to watch or participate in. At least in Inter-Yikdom and Star Wars. I do think it's different in singles and teams, especially teams because some people get the first 5, then the next. Like there is something to it, but I do think the buzzers are a great equalizer when it comes to title matches and 5-round matches, just because of the swings that are possible.
It feels like every match so far that's been live since and in person that in these title matches with these buzzers it has come down to that round that has really changed the game or changed the trajectory of each match for sure.
Right. Yeah. And it's also easier to just like, if you know the answer halfway through the question, being able to buzz in before your opponent, interrupt the reading of the question, things like that, like all play into it. There's just way more strategy and way more gamesmanship and just more to the buzzer round than the fast money round.
And one thing I will add that we do see with the buzzer round, like as you mentioned, if you know the question halfway in, sometimes if you know the answer halfway in, you can buzz in. But as we have seen from some of the last live events at the Skill and Villainy, we have seen when they buzz in too quickly without hearing the full question, it has cost them.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That adds to the excitement of it, which is why
that happened to me against all of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it happened to Chandru as well, and it also happened with
Chandru for sure.
It happened to Chandru a bunch of times throughout that match against Kalinowski.
Didn't that happen in KO? Wasn't that the reason behind
I believe KO did miss a question going up in a speed round against Amaru. I do remember that.
Yes, he did. I think that was more. I don't think that was trying to buzz in too quickly. I think that was he misheard the question. At least that's what he told me after the match was over. That was like an X-Men question. It was like
question.
Right. That's an easy. Yeah. I'm with you. But that was
I was there at the cantina, and then when I rewatched it, it did. I mean, in the cantina, it does sound like something different when you're in the audience, but then rewatching it, I mean, it's definitely when you rewatch on digital, there is like those 2 different like opinions or so, which you can get confused. But I can understand with that buzzer round being such a high pressured match. Sometimes with your 2 not in your head, but you're trying to stay in the moment, but you also want to pay attention. Some things can slip by to where you may have heard something different. So I do give Mike that kind of leeway.
It's hindsight too. Like when you're watching matches, you can read along, and usually the brain can process things reading them quicker than hearing them. So you're able to read the question, and it before the reader has gone through the first 4 words or something like that. So that's definitely an aspect of it as well.
My anxiety goes through the roof during those buzzer rounds. I tell everyone all the time I could never compete because I'm a dodo. Like I don't know that much about movies. I just know whether I like them or not for the most part.
Sure.
But the stuff that I do know and I do I know really, really well. Like I've gotten really good at Carpenter, obviously, because my husband's favorite director. So we watch all of those. So like I could win maybe an exhibition match on Carpenter, possibly, but I have way too much anxiety, I think, I would probably just end up pushing the button and lose all of my points because I wouldn't know what to do. Like in that moment, like it literally, I get heart palpitations watching you guys.
Because the other thing is like
during those rounds,
part of the strategy for those is as well, like buzzing in when you don't know the answer, but you can get there. Like, if you're going to get there or not. That's why people use repeats in some situations and don't in others. It's not like you should always repeat if you don't know the answer. It's can you get there with another 15 seconds? So usually, like, if you run through as many questions as we do and you train as much as we do, like, you can kind of tell if you're going to get there or not. So usually you can tell, like, am I going to get there in 2 seconds? Do I know it now? No, but I know how quickly my brain processes. And if I can buzz in before my opponent knows it and give myself a second and a half, maybe that's enough time. Like, that's what makes the speed round so much fun to prep for, is situations like that.
Oh, you guys are just so cool. You guys are just so smart. It's so fun. It's so fun to watch.
Yeah.
So I know you had mentioned, we kind of talked about, there's been talks about teams and how much you do love inner geekdom. Do you think if in the future it came down to it, you would jump into a singles tournament just to bring in your inner geekdom knowledge?
I don't know about a singles tournament. Maybe it would really depend on the situation. Because I have no, I don't humor myself and say that I could win a singles title or win a tournament or even play for one. I know I'm not that good. If I took a year or 6 months and really sat down and really, really, really worked at it, maybe. But I just don't have enough general knowledge, enough of a foundation to like go into singles tomorrow and win a tournament. Would I go in singles? It doesn't interest me very much. Teams, definitely, with the right teammate, I think I could be a very, very good supporting player. Even in today's division, where the questions have gotten a lot harder, especially in round one, I still think I could carry my weight. But singles, yeah, it would have to depend on the situation and who I'd be playing and all that good stuff. You know who I would love to play? I would love to play Mike in singles. That's what I would want. I would love. I would love to beat him at Spectacular and then challenge into a singles match. That's what I would like to do.
How many stuff would have to happen for you to compete in Star Wars?
Oh gosh, if you had asked me 2 years ago, I would have said I would do it. Star Wars has changed so much. It is so hard now, and the best and worst thing about Star Wars, the division, I think it's a double-edged sword, is the margins for error are so small. We've seen people, how many times in the last 2 years alone, play perfect games and then lose in sudden death, or play perfect games, then miss a 5 and lose, or check down to multiple choice once and get every single question right and still lose. Like, I would have to put a lot of work in first. I love Star Wars, but I'm a more casual Star Wars fan than a lot of people who compete in Star Wars. So I love it enough for inner geekdom. But to go into the Star Wars division, it would take a lot of work. And even then, I'm not sure I would want to do it, because I wouldn't want to work my ass off for so long and get really, 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 really good and still have like a 500 record or a below 500 record. I mean, like, there are just so many people who work so hard and know so much whose records just don't show it because the questions are so hard and everybody is near perfect. Like, Laura Kelly is one of the best Star Wars minds we have in the league, and she's like barely over 500. Joseph Scrimshaw is like 1 in 4, 0 in 4, something like that.
0 in 4, I believe. No, 1 in 5. Yeah,
1 in 5. Right, and you know how much that guy knows about Star Wars? Like a ridiculous amount.
Even your
Eric Whiteley's 0 in 3. Witt's 0 in 4. Hoey's 1 in 1, and Hoey's one of the smartest people about Star Wars I know. Molly has a record that I think is under 500 at this point. Like, I just don't know that I would want to get into a division where I know that that's not only possible but very likely. Where the margins of error are just so minuscule that you have to be absolutely perfect, 100% PPE every game, every single game, and you still might lose.
Oh, it's like even with Gold Leader and like his losses due to like a spelling error.
A letter.
Single letter. Yeah. One letter. It is insanity. And it's so
but it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch because they are so damn good. Like, I'm not like crapping on it. That's just why I wouldn't. It would take a lot of convincing to get me to play in Star Wars. But yeah, it is very fun to watch, and I am every single Star Wars match I watch, I am beyond impressed. I don't know how you win one match in Star Wars, let alone go undefeated in your rookie season. Like, both of these people who are playing for the Star Wars belt at Spectacular are undefeated rookies. That's insane. The winner of that match should win Rookie of the Year because they will have been an undefeated rookie. And hold a belt at the end of the that's just and have won a tournament. I mean, Harper won the first tournament and Nikki won this one. So no matter what, they'll have won a tournament, won the belt, went undefeated, have a crazy 95+% accuracy. Like, that is just insane what they're capable of doing in the Star Wars division. And I commend them for it, but I don't want to do it.
Because I feel like Star Wars is getting, the reason it's getting so hard is it's not like, we had Harper on last week and we were talking with him about it, and Dragon Con Star Wars trivia is a whole nother ball game compared to MTS, because MTS is the movie trivia, right? So there's only a finite amount of movies that you can pull from until they start changing the rules or whatever they decide to do, because I feel like the rule book is just a guideline at this point from the way that things kind of go. So yeah, like pulling in, you know, starting to go into uncredited actors that like have been on, you know, no one's payroll forever,
right?
Trying to, like, it's just it's insane. Jesse Swift is in here wanting you to bring in pictures of the belt. He's a good guy. I love Jesse.
Give me 1 second. Guy. I'm just gonna go put these windows down so that
you're good. No worries.
Give me 1 second.
No problem.
No worries.
Oh man.
But I do want to. But I was going to do a follow up with what Parker said, and what pretty much bringing up the whole Star Wars division. You are right, especially talking with Harper, the impressive record that both him and Nikki have had with winning both tournaments. And yeah, this was 2 years ago, like during the time when Star Wars maybe played once, maybe like for 3 months within the whole season. I definitely could see Robert really like playing high tier against Scrimshaw or an early Andrew DeMolante or even that Damon.
2 years ago, maybe. Yeah.
2 years ago, yeah, when it was
Not
that.
Anymore.
Possibly when Laura was still when Laura and Andrew had debuted around that time. Possibly I could definitely see you in that division. Maybe. But it really is difficult. Even when we saw the people brought in, like with Marie, John Hoey, Lacey Gilleran. I mean, even like the high pressure that was put on those three along with so many other of the new Star Wars rookies, I completely get it. And now, especially now with Air Geekdom, the fact that the field had widened up, it put a lot more pressure, especially when you had played up. We're going up against Brandon Hanna, like you were coming back after an getting lost in the tournament.
Yeah.
No, wait. Yeah, you played Chance and you played Brand, and just like the matches you had before you played stuff against Chandru. Just like seeing you and Kaiser just like really like work collectively well together. Like it was right there. The goal was to get to the Inner Geekdom Championship.
Yeah.
And god damn it, that Ninja Turtles category just really cutting the legs from underneath you against Chandra. I'm like, if the questions had slid more your way and weren't as wordy, I really could have seen you going up against possibly playing against Kalinowski as Escobar instead of the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I checked down once in the Turtles, and so I got 9 for 10 points. Like I think I didn't mishandle the category or anything. And the one I checked down was just a weird quote. But the reason I lost that match isn't because I checked down. It's because I missed the first question, which is a super easy question that I should have gotten, and I just didn't know it. And if I had 40 more seconds, could I have gotten there? Maybe, but like. That missing out on the perfect round one is why I lost against Chandru. But in hindsight, you hate to lose in the moment, and that's definitely the loss that like that one like sucked way more than the Chance one last year. Even though the Chance one was like season ending, this one like I really, 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 really wanted to beat Chandru. And yeah, in hindsight, I think it worked out just because I was able to get more points for the faction through the tournament, and I was able to get more reps in while the questions were getting harder. Like I think if I had beaten, if I'd played Mike earlier this year, the turnaround from that to the Amaru match would have just been like really interesting and tough because like the questions, if you remember at the beginning of the season, were just a lot easier than they were and are now. So I'm glad that I was able to sort of like test myself as it was still getting harder. Like my match against Jesse, the questions were one level of difficulty. Then they got harder against Erwin and they got harder against Saul. And I think that still being able to come out on top in all of those matches did way more for my confidence than beating Chandru and Mike would have earlier in the season. So I just feel much more prepared going into this title match than I would have felt going into that one.
Jesse in the chat says we wanted you to beat Chandru too. That I went to play too.
What up, Matt? I see that comment there. What's up, brother?
That is, I feel like I love a good heel game, and that's why I think I like Chandru and what he does. But also, like with what he does, he just has a beatable face. Like you just like want, like I feel like everyone just wants to beat him just for the sake of beating him because of who he is. But it's like, what are you gonna? Also, I keep looking at the planner that's behind you, Parker, and how it looks just like your face, and I think that's the cutest thing ever.
That one,
yeah. I love it so much. That's so fun. I keep getting
Yeah.
I'm very distractible. So
No, you're
I
good.
apologize. Like that's so fun. Look how
So, a random question, if you don't mind me asking.
Go for it. Shoot.
Whose idea was it to have the prototype in front of your costume or suit?
Oh, the idea of the suit?
Yeah. Yeah.
That came from mostly Kaiser and I. After the draft, we sort of talked about what we wanted the character to be, and the confidence level, and the costume, obviously. And we sort of settled on the look. The idea was, if you've ever seen Conor McGregor at like signings or like interviews and stuff like that, he's always dressed to the nines in a really sharp suit. And like just walking with this swagger, and not that like I act like he does or speak like he does or anything like that, but just that look, that image of like dressed to the nines, that confidence, the glasses, like just always having swagger, like that was the idea behind the character and the look. And I mean, I looked through so many pictures of him at interviews and stuff like that, and looked through so many places trying to find the right suit that would like not only fit, but also look right. And then, yeah, we eventually landed on one, the one that you've seen now for the last 2 years. And yeah, I love having something that is so specific, that is not just showing up in like jeans and a t-shirt or like a hoodie or something like that. Because I really do like having a full and complete costume change, because it really does help me get into the mindset. I know that anytime I put that on, it just feels different. Like the confidence is there, but it also like the knowledge just feels there. I don't know. I'm probably overstating it, but it does feel like you're stepping into something else. Yeah.
It is a good
and
concept.
we all know
it's
Kaiser.
a good idea to go with. Sorry.
Yeah. And Kaiser, that's also something that like Kaiser loves when possible to like match his costume to whoever he's wearing. So like my first match, he had this really slick like leather jacket and this hat that looked like it was straight out of Peaky Blinders, like and then at the cantina, he had this top hat with like the bandana underneath it. He had a spider shirt for one of the matches. Yeah. So I hope he wears the top. I should actually text him. I should see if he's wearing the top hat.
He popped into I was on Schmo Me the Real last Saturday, and I blame him and Dagnino for losing my voice over the weekend, because of course he had to play a match with Dagnino, with PJ and PLD asking questions. He was in that goddamn top hat the entire time.
Oh yeah.
That was fun to watch. That was so fun to watch.
That guy is wild. I'm surprised anyone else gets. I don't know how. Does he just keep mumbling during matches too? Like, do you just hear him in the background?
Oh yeah. Well, not like digital, but and not even in like I can't hear him in the background if he's talking. But he is one of those guys who he never is short of energy in the match. Like he may like the morning after, the morning of, like be tuckered out, but as soon as he gets to wherever he's going, like that cantina for example, he is just high energy. Every single question you get it right, he's yeah, and he's just making sure that you're succeeding and doing well. And yeah, at the cantina, you can't see most of it in the edit, but after practically every question, he was coming up to me and mumbling some piece of advice between like practically every question, or every round for sure. Like when they had to bring the wheel up, he and I were just huddled behind the bar, and he was just like 0-0, having to get, all this stuff, which it sounds goofy, but he does such a great job of motivating the people in the dungeon in the right way.
He's a wild. He's just wild. And of course, we had to get you into the 3-piece suit, because Kaiser's never going to be the best dressed guy in the room. So.
No, of course not. But like, I just love like when we come out, do a lap around the desk, and I take the jacket off, and he takes it and like hangs it up. So like during the digital, I had to hang it up behind me, but like at the cantina, he's just holding it around his arm the whole time. Like he's my butler.
That is so funny.
Making sure there's no creases in that. Make sure it's nice and folded. So
right, exactly.
Puts it right back on you.
Yeah.
Hilarious. I love it. Oh, Kelly's here. I love Kelly.
What's up, Kelly?
Best.
Hi, Kelly.
Oh, Kelly's so fun. I literally tell everyone Kelly's become like my Schmoedown BFF, because I'm like, hey, give me the crash course on this guy. She's gonna start charging me for tutoring lessons, I think, at some point. She's like, it's so
Trust me, we're all gonna need a friend like that. There is a nice little comment or question I see here in the chat from Brian, and I was gonna actually bring this when you were talking about the whole concept of the suit. I think it falls into your character. Like he's trying to ask. I need clarification. Are you a heel or a face now?
It's changed a lot because of the factions, because you can't really have a faction that is entirely heels. Like even the most heel of managers, corruption comes to mind, or even in corruption, like you still have people that people love to root for. Like Marisol is one of the most face players that we have. Like you cannot call her even though she's on a heel faction, she's still a face. So the lines have been blurred quite a bit for the last year and a half or so. I tend to think of myself more on the face side, but as somebody who's still like extremely confident but not cocky, if that makes sense. Like knows their potential. Excuse me, knows their potential and can definitely like talk, but is not like there to insult people unless it's done. Like when Chandru started coming after me, I went back at him just as much. So I'll definitely like I'll dish it back out, but like not necessarily the kind of person who's going to pick fights to begin with and start shouting matches or things like that. But definitely not somebody who can be pushed around. Definitely, like, I really do think that the dungeon is like the ultimate tweener faction, because you have Dan and Mara, who are among the most face players, and then you also have people like Bateman, who is just like despised, and Kaiser, I think, is a manager in many cases, is a heel manager. So I think they're, especially in the dungeon, we blur the lines quite a bit, but because a heel is somebody you sort of like, you like to root against. And I like to think that people like rooting for the dungeon, or maybe I don't know. It's changed a lot. I don't want to say I don't know. That's a bad message. I do know, and it's neither. That's the answer. It's a mix. It's a spectrum. Like it's not this person. There are few people in the history of the Schmoedown ever who have embraced 100% heel. I don't know if anybody has. Even Guy, even Chandru. I don't think, and that's just because we're like people, and the Schmoedown isn't our entire life, and our social media following is not, just for the Schmoedown. Like we have other careers and things like that. So even at the height, I don't think anybody. There's nobody that the fans have all combined to hate and to boo.
Yeah.
Because even when Guy was being a heel, people loved it. People ate that up. People loved watching him. And a heel shouldn't necessarily be somebody that like people like watching.
Yeah.
And even with Chandru, like people, like you said it yourself, he's like very charming, very entertaining, and you love his antics, right? A true heel is somebody that you're like, oh, this fucking guy, I can't believe, oh my God. Yeah, every single time you see their face, it should be that. And I don't think anybody has done that, or probably should or will. I don't know. That's speculation for a different day.
I know. I could tell my Ben Bateman story and how I got into Schmoedown again, because it means I get to call him a dick on a stream all over again.
Yeah.
I think it really depends on the people in the community, because I'll be honest, Kalinowski, when he was doing this whole thing with corruption, like,
I hate how people call Kalinowski a heel. That's just, he's too many people love him.
I know.
And too many people adore him.
To me, in his earlier run of corruption, I referred to him as Lex Luthor, though. He's like the maniacal villain, but he still has that charm that's going to make you want to like him.
Right. People didn't dislike him for it. Like, even when all that stuff was going on with, what do you call it? With, what did they, I forget what they called it in 2018 when they mixed up the teams. Anarchy. Yeah. Even when Anarchy happened, nobody was like rooting for Kalinowski to lose every match. Like, he's cocky and he's like a douche, but people love him.
Especially at the live event in San Diego when he beat Rachel. I mean, you see anybody in that crowd really boo him? No. The moment he won, everyone on their feet cheering for him. And even at the Spectacular when Smiths beat him, people still loved people liked him, and some people actually loved to hate him. Like, I do remember one from that video in Mike's Mask and Smets. I see Ken Knapsack, who was the manager at the time, do like this nice back and forth flipping off with a kid in the audience, which was it looked like it would look to someone who's not familiar with the Schmoedown like a bad thing. But if you were there in the crowd, or at least you understood the character aspects of corruption at that time, it was the funniest thing you've seen in your whole life.
Okay, Nikki in the comments here even said, she's like, regardless of heel/face, Kalinowski's storyline in 2018 was incredible because she loved Anarchy. And Kelly, Anarchy was the best thing to happen to. I guess I got to go back and watch the Anarchy season.
That was a really great time. 2017-18 was a really great time to be. And I think that was a great time to be a Schmoedown fan and player too. Like I think coming out of the digital age, I'm hopeful for what next year has to bring. I think the back half of this season has really brought a lot of new stars to the front and has been really entertaining to watch just as a fan myself too. But yeah, 2018 was nuts.
Yeah. Kelly messaged me though. She tells me that she says she does want me to tell my digital story of how I got into Schmoedown because of all the heels and faces. So these two guys have heard it, but basically I came home from work one day and my husband was watching a Teams match. And I sat down to watch it with him because Dan Murrell was on my screen. And I knew Dan Murrell from watching like Screen Junkie stuff. Sure. Again, like casual viewer. And so I knew Dan Murrell and I was like, oh my goodness, this guy. I go, I know Dan. Let me sit down and watch I was like, oh, it's cute. They're playing movie trivia. This will be fun. So like I'm sitting down watching and thinking like I'm just gonna watch Dan just like take people out. And then as the match keeps going on, it keeps going. And there's this other guy there that's just being a real piece of shit to people, and it just keeps going. And then all of a sudden Harloff goes on there, goes, Ben, this is your official warning. So the Danger Zone warning match against Midterms.
Oh, this year, that
was my first Schmoedown.
Awesome, that's funny. That's a good match too.
So Ben gets his warning, and I look over at my husband, and I was like, Frank, I go, why is this Ben guy such a dick? Like, what is going on? And that's how. And then he explained all of the Schmoedown and everything to me. And I started kind of casually watching with him and then started following. It was more so the social media followings that got me into doing like the Nerds in Suits stuff and meeting all these other people and whatnot. But for my first inclination of seeing Ben Bateman on the screen was like, that guy's a dick. Like, what is going on?
His job.
Yeah. Speaking of jobs, you have some jobs and hobbies that are super fun that I didn't tell the guys I asked you about.
Oh, yes.
And
give me one
of those, so I asked Parker if he would be willing to show us a magic trick because I love magic. This is what I do.
Magic trick. I fucking love seeing a good magic trick. I used to know a couple people in junior college who were practicing magic while studying for chemistry tests.
This is so fun. I'm so excited. I'm like I literally when I tell you like I questioned whether to send this message or not, I was like I sat on my phone up with like the Twitter like getting ready to send like, do I ask Parker to do a magic trick?
I don't mind.
Is he gonna be offended? Is that like going up to a comedian and being like, hey, why don't you tell me a joke?
Funny guy. No. I'm trying to. Okay, all right. I am good. Let's see. This is I've been trying to do this virtually for like 2 years now, and I still haven't figured out the best like way to do it. But I'll try. So let's see. I will sort of use this as like my table. So first thing I want you to notice is that each card is different. I don't know if you can even see that. That's better. Okay. Each card is different. The trick is a lot easier to do if every card's the same, right? So what I'm going to have to do, Allison, I'm going to have you select a card. What I'm going to do is just riffle my thumb down the side of the deck. Usually I have you like actually select one. Just tell me to stop whenever you like. Stop. Right about there. Okay. I'm going to lay that card down. It's okay if I see it. The Ace of Hearts, excuse me. All right. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Loud and clear.
Perfect. All right. So the Ace of Hearts here. How does this trick even go? Okay. Tell me to stop again whenever you like.
Stop.
Right about there. We'll put the card back into the deck. All right. So let's give it a couple shuffles here. Get your card lost in the deck, essentially, is what I'm doing here.
Card tricks are so fun. I'm so excited right now. This is like the happiest I think I've been on a stream in so long.
All right. Whoops. All right. There we go. All right. So you remember what your card is? Obviously, I showed you it was the Ace of Hearts, and with a snap of my fingers, the Ace of Hearts should come to the top of the deck. It did not. Did not. All right. Let's try that again. That actually was not how that was supposed to go. Let me restart this completely. What the hell happened? I'm sorry. This is not part of the trick, I swear. Did I? Oh, I'm missing a card. That's why.
There we go. We'll edit it in post.
Yeah, we'll fix it. Right. Yeah, we can cut this out. Yeah, no. Let me do a different one because I can't do that trick actually. Sorry about that. I was not as prepped as I should have been. Okay, so
If
I
you
know
have
exactly
like a
what
whole
we're gonna do.
championship match coming up, that's
Right. Yeah, I've been doing other
before,
stuff today so far.
You're good.
I've been doing other
It's
stuff.
blowing
All right,
off some steam. It's blowing off some steam.
Let's see. That didn't go well. All right, so what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna have you select a card.
Okay.
Again, I'm just gonna riffle my thumb. Just tell me to stop and I'll be like,
Stop.
right about there. You want to go a couple more up, couple more down? You happy there?
I'm happy.
Okay. You're gonna have to trust me. I'm gonna turn away. My head is turned away because I don't want to see what your card is. This is the card you told me to stop on. Can you see it?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, I'm just gonna set it down here. So this is your card. What I'm gonna do here is lay out. I want you to say left, right, or center. Actually, we're gonna do 1, 2, or 3. Tell me to put the card on top of one of these 3 piles.
2.
2, the center one right here. Okay, so I'm gonna put your card right here. Gather up the rest. Now this is the part that takes a while, so you're gonna have to bear with me. This is actually the first card trick I ever learned. I have to go through the deck and deal out every card in a certain pile, so it'll make sense at the end. All right.
Okay.
So bear with me for one moment. Like I said, this is the first trick I ever learned. That was when I was just 10 years old. So that was about 2 weeks ago when I learned this trick. I've been practicing for the last 2 weeks.
Nice.
I was like, I love the joke that Kate made during your match with your first match with Andres with Ben Goddard when she was like, it's so cute that you arrived in your baptism suit.
The first communion suit, yeah, that's good. They shot a promo with Kate's son for when I played Saul, and with him dressed up as me, it was the funniest thing in the world.
That's amazing.
You remember where your card is, right? I haven't seen it. Is that your card right there?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so. But SIX spells 6. OF is of. SPADES is the 6 of spades. And was that your card?
Oh, yeah. Holy shit.
Out.
That was good. Was it?
Out.
That
How
was
did
good.
that
Sorry for screwing up the first one, but that one made up for it. I hope.
That
a little
was
bit.
so fun. Look at
I'm
that.
pretty sure our chat liked it. I'm pretty sure our chat liked it. Hopefully, I mean, if you're anyone in the chat watching this, please just give a thumbs up or the mind blown, or even just like a heart.
Hell, you mind blown.
You're still
Like it wasn't even like a here's your card. It's let me spell it out for you because I'm just a badass and I don't know.
I can't tell you, but yeah, I'll probably be doing more at Spectacular after the match is over at some point. I don't know when or where, but I assume that that's going to happen.
Sean Wingblade said, "Wait, I missed it. Start over."
Please, one more time for the audience.
That's hilarious. Well, speaking of Spectacular, so you're going up against Kalinowski. You were the first person to win their tournament. So how are you feeling? Like what's been your game plan? Or I mean, you don't have to spill all your secrets, but like how's all of that going? How are you feeling going into it?
Good, really good actually. I 2 weeks out, and I have like a schedule of studying that I do, because you can't just like always be at the top of your game all the time. It's like you're training for a race. There are peaks and valleys, ebbs and flows of when you want to peak. And I feel really, really good. I'm on schedule. I have been watching as much as I can. I do have a normal job outside of the Schmoedown that's not, in the movie space or the entertainment space. So sometimes that intrudes on how much time I have. But, I was studying right before this. I'll be sitting back on that couch as soon as this is over and getting back to it. But I feel very, very, very good. I have a really dedicated team behind me. In Mara and Dan and Kaiser and Ben and Smets and Wit and Hoey and everybody at the dungeon. So I feel very, very, very locked in. And I feel like it's my time. I've been working towards this, ever since that draft. Like, this is the position I wanted to be in. I know I can do it. I just kind of have to go out and make it happen.
I think if anyone can knock Kalinowski out, it's you for sure. I
don't know about that. Kalinowski he's a very, very, very good player. There's a reason that he accomplishment wise absolutely is the greatest IG player of all time. He's won the belt 3 times, but that also means he's lost it twice. And he's been around forever. So yes, he is very, very, very good. He's beaten everyone there is to beat except me. So I'm looking forward to taking him out.
Yeah.
So,
speaking, we're gonna follow up on that. Yeah, he missed 3 times. Oh, sorry, Ben. Yeah, you go for it then. I'll say.
I just wanted to ask. He mentioned about having that curiosity about playing teams. Do you have like an ideal teammate you would love to play with?
Yeah, I mean, the easy answer is somebody who can carry me, like like somebody who just has an insane knowledge, like Dan or Bibbs or Paul Oyama or like I don't know. The easy answer is somebody who has like been multi-time champion. But if it's somebody starting from scratch, the original idea at the start of this year, we were considering me and Whit teaming up. Him and I have a really, really good chemistry, and I know a lot, about the game. And I really do think that I have like a pretty good mind for, opposition research, and also just for like what categories somebody might be good at, something that I'm good at that might trip them up, category selection. I think that that's something that I'd actually be pretty good at. So having somebody, Whit knows a shit ton about movies, and he doesn't have a record to show for it, but he will just like go off about this reference about this 70s director who went from this movie to this movie to this movie, or he can rattle off the entire Emilio Estevez filmography like it's nothing. Like, he just has a lot of untapped knowledge. And I think he just needs somebody as a teammate who can like focus that. And I think Paul Preston did a really good job of it. Paul Preston just at the time wasn't as familiar with the game. So I think Whit just needs he's like Cyclops without the glasses. He needs somebody to just funnel all that energy. And I think I'd be able to do that pretty well. And that was the idea that, if things had gone differently, if the team's tournament was more than just 8 teams total, if Danger Zone had won the belts at the start of the year, so, there were situations where it could have been possible this year, but it just didn't work out. And if to actually succeed in teams, I would need somebody who has a lot of base knowledge in a lot of categories. To have a lot of fun, I think it'd be a lot of fun to team up with like Mara or Kevin or another IG player and just see how we would do. So yeah, definitely not opposed to it, but winning this title in 2 weeks is definitely the highest priority for me right now.
Of course.
Yeah.
I can't wait to watch it. I wish I was going to be at Spectacular. I have so much FOMO right now. I'm not going. It's going to.
That just makes the next event at Spectacular even bigger. I mean, I know, depending on, they went to New York this year, but I would not be surprised if Christian announces again, like, oh, we're going to kick off the year back in New York, and then guess what? You're going to be at the first event for 2022.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard much about what's going on next year with anything, with matches, with live events, with factions. And part of that has been on purpose from my end. Like, I came into this year wanting to win the faction title and win the IG championship. Those were my 2 goals. And, we're out of the faction race at this point, but that goal is still really, really, really high for me. I still really, really want to win the championship. And I don't want to worry about what happens after that, because if I worry too much about what's ahead, I have had a tendency to stop focusing on what's in front of me. That happened with last year's tournament. I got ahead of myself and I lost a chance. So this year I've been trying to stay I purposely put tunnel vision on myself and not worry about what's coming next, because I don't care, because I want to end the season as the champion, and I'll cross that bridge when I get there.
And speaking of Spectacular, what predictions do you have for the other fights?
That's a good question. Oh man, it's tough. All of them I think are really, really tough. I think this is I could see this. I could see every single match going full time all the way down to the last 5-pointer. Like, all of them are very tough. I think for Dan and Roca, I think that I really do think Dan is just a better player and knows more. I think Roka is very good. I think the 3-round format really benefits Dan because he can shut it down early. Yeah, I think I'll take Dan, and that's not just because he's my faction mate. I do love Roka, but I think Dan's a better player. Obviously, I'm going to pick myself against Kalinowski. The Star Wars one, I think, is the closest match. I think it's hardest to predict because, like I said, both of them are undefeated rookies. Both of them are going to – one of them is going to end up as an undefeated rookie. Both of them are going to end the season with the 95+% accuracy. It's impossible to tell. I think my gut leans Harper, but I would not be surprised if Nikki really surprised me. I didn't think that she was going to beat Alex, and I didn't think she was going to beat Gold Leader. And I have been a naysayer, and I am happy to have been proven wrong. I think she is a wonderful addition to that division. I think she's an excellent player. It will not surprise me at all if she beats Harper. But my instinct just leans that way a little bit. Singles, has the singles tournament final aired?
Yes, it aired yesterday.
Right, I didn't watch it yet.
No, you are right. It premiered yesterday on YouTube. No pay-per-view. It came out at 2 o'clock my time, so it's out there.
All right. I am rooting for Marisol, but I think this is going to be her hardest match yet. Even harder than Ethan, harder than Chance. I am rooting for her, but I would not be surprised if Newman takes this one. Teams, I think it's Shazam. I think in a 5-round format, with the buzzers and everything, I think Shazam is a really good buzzer team. I think they're, in my opinion, they're the greatest team of all time. People can argue with that. I think it'll be definitely more cemented if they defend again. I just think
spectacular where they've been unlucky.
Right. I just think Shazam or Bibbs and Brendan are just two of the best players in the league, and maybe I'll be proven wrong. But I think King Arthur, they've done really, really well. Obviously, they won the teams tournament, but I'm not sure if they quite have what it takes to beat those two. But again, it's close because Griffin alone is just insanely good. And then, did I miss any? Is that it?
That's all of the matches.
Nope, that's it.
Okay.
That's
all of them.
Yeah. So unwavering. I am not confident in any of my predictions except mine because I have to be confident in that one. But unconfident
it's gonna happen,
predictions.
so it's fine.
Right.
You
exactly.
You heard it here first. Though,
Speak it into existence. Yeah. But yeah, unconfident
Manifest.
would be Dan, me, Harper, Bibbs, or Shazam, excuse me, and Marisol, I think, which is interesting. Like I'm not, I'd have to look back on sort of the history of Spectacular. Like I'm not sure what the, defense rate is. I don't know if it's more common for new champs to be crowned or old ones to defend. I think it depends on the division. Like I think Interheatum is the hardest championship to defend. It's statistically the easiest to take, not easiest, that's a bad way to put it, but statistically more titles have been won by new challengers in IG title matches than have been defended. I want to say singles is like about 50-50.
I think it's a back and forth with Spectacular because I'm going through it in my mind. There was only 2 belts at the first Spectacular. There was all 4 at Spectacular 2, Spectacular 3. There was maybe only 2 title changes, which was Erwin beating Roka and then Mike beating Mara. And then at Spectacular 4, we did see at least 2 other we saw 2 title changes and 2 defenses. And then Spectacular 5, there was only, I believe, just 1. No, 2 title, 2 defended, 2 losses as well.
Right.
So
we'll see if my predictions. If my predictions are right, then that'll be 3 defended and 1 taken. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. it's going to be really good matches either way. Sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think
so you're definitely not off, Parker. It's the statistics when it comes to defenses and wins at Spectacular. It ranges within the 50, within 500. The only time it was over was Spectacular 2, where the only belt defended was the Patriots. Every other belt was taken.
So Brian in here says every main event except for the first Spectacular, the singles belt has changed hands. So
singles has.
That was versus Santa Claus.
That's crazy.
Right, because I think every single one of those has gone on to win singles player of the year because they win that tournament and then win the belt at Spectacular. That happens almost every year. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
Well, Parker, this has been so much fun. I'm so excited.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I can't wait to I'm still so excited. I feel like we just need to like hang out more and do more magic tricks.
I agree. Yeah,
let's do it. That's all. If I had more magic tricks in my life, maybe 2021 would have been an even more fun year for me. It's spectacular. It's going to be amazing to watch. Is there anything on your shoulder radar, I think, that you would like to plug or tell the people about?
I don't think so. If you want to follow me on Twitter or Letterboxd, you can do that at RBRTPRKR98. It's my first and last name, no vowels plus a year. Other than that, just tune into Spectacular and watch what's sure to be 5 really entertaining, really great matches.
It's going to, especially with how these question writing is going. That's where I think this is going to be, it's anyone's game, is when you just, I mean, looking at just in how they evolved in the singles tournament alone, from where they were at the beginning of it to the questions Bibbs and Newman were getting in their final match, in their semifinals match. I mean, it's going to be insanity for sure. Yeah. Cool. Ryan?
Me? Honestly, oh, sorry. Any last questions? Actually, no. I mean, most of everything was just more, I was going to ask was more out of observation, but no, I mean, I got nothing to ask. Ben, what about you? You got any last questions?
I'm good. Do you have anything to plug, Ryan?
Yeah. Well, other than just being here with you guys, sorry.
Things I do.
End of the year is coming. The end of the year is coming, and my brain is just more focusing on just wanting to get to Spectacular and have a good time. But other than every Saturday, find me here with Allison, Ben, and John on Mount Schmoedown. Sundays, pretty much, I'm pretty sure will be the Sunday Crew, me and Ben, along with another special guest from the Schmoes of the North, as we are going to review and discuss the matches that just happened this week. And also, if anybody out there are big wrestling fans, I do have a podcast I co-host with my good buddy, First Class League competitor James Shimo, called Wrestling Ramblings and Rages Podcast. We're definitely uploading more new episodes. We're going to record some along next week as well. So we're going to get our content out there as fast as we can.
And Allison, how about you? You have anything to plug?
Just like Ryan said, you can find me here on Saturdays with you fantastic gentlemen and John, who unfortunately was not feeling well and couldn't be here with us. I got some stuff in the works, I think, with good old Jesse Swift over on Flick and Reel. So I don't know if I can, go too much into detail with it, but we've been chatting. That's a cool bro over there. Other than that, you can find me on Twitter at Allison Salamoni. You can find me on Instagram, Allison_Salamoni. And that's really about it. How about you, Ben?
And you guys can find me at Twitter at Ben_Radio. Every Saturday over here with these fine people on Mount Schmoedown. Also on Get Ready. In the morning, shooting the freeze, recapping the past. And I think that's everything, maybe not. And later tonight, you can find me over on this channel. We're doing a Doctor Who stream. 50 Shades of Geek is in charge of it. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're doing tier ranking stuff. Come join that. And I think that's everything, right? Yes?
Yep.
Yep.
It's all on you, my brother.
See everyone next week. Until then, this is Mount Schmoedown. Have a good one.